Welcome to our lesson on survey. This is Form 1. Form 1, normally third term, okay? Form 1, third term. So, what do we mean by survey in the context of this lesson? In the context of this lesson, we want to learn simple technique on how land adjudication is done. Land adjudication. What does that mean? Fixing boundaries on our pieces of land. Okay? If you own a piece of land, we must know its area. So basically, survey is a way of determining the area of a piece of land. That, okay, in context of what I'm doing. So when you hear survey, it is about the area of piece of land. The land is not in regular shapes. Since time immemorial, we used to say, my boundary is that tree. And then you go down, you turn left, it goes again, and then you come back inward, you go right, like that. So, when we study land adjudication, we study basic survey. Okay? Determining the area of a parcel of land. In that, we shall use approximation method using regular shapes. You know the area of a square, you know the area of a triangle, you know the area of trapezium, you know the area of a circle, and so on. Those are regular shapes. We use those regular shapes as an estimation of cases where the boundaries are not straight. Right? So you have the idea, survey. Doing what? Trying to determine the area of a piece of land. The technique we are using borrows heavily from area of regular shapes. When we go to the site and we are shown the area like this is irregular shape. What happens is we can choose two extreme points and join them by a straight line. Two extreme points and join them using a straight line. So for example, I can choose this. I've chosen that. Those are two extreme points. Then what do I do next? I can label them. Let this be point X and this is point Y. And this is what we call baseline. Okay? You can have several, but I will show you how we use one baseline. Again, narrow. One, how to determine an area of a parcel of land whose boundary is irregular. So we cannot use any particular formula for area to get the exact area. So what we are doing, we are approximating. Okay? We are approximating. So what do you do once you have a piece of land? Draw a straight line from one end to the other. That line XY I have drawn is known as baseline. Okay? So in this diagram, after drawing the baseline, you can continue now drawing lines on the sides, perpendicular lines from baseline. They are known as offsets. From baseline, any line which is perpendicular from the baseline to a boundary is known as offset. So I'm going to draw offsets. I can use blue offset. I can choose to draw. Let us see now. I can choose to draw one here. That would be offset. Okay, that would be offset. Now what next? I can also continue. Let me see my figure. I can have another one now. Just next to it, I can still have another one here. That would be another offset. I can choose another one here. Let me put my work in order. There. Can have this. So, for us to understand, let me give them letters. You can have another one here. There. Maybe for now we can, yes, you can have one here. So let us give them letters for us to understand. I say P, Q, R, S. So if I told you to name the baseline, how would you know? A line which comes from one point on the boundary to another point opposite it. A straight line from one point to another point opposite it. So you can see I have so many pieces of lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the red one 5. So the one which is refers to baseline is in red. Okay, it is in red. Now you know what we call offset. This is an offset, a perpendicular line drawn from baseline to a boundary. A perpendicular line from baseline to the boundary. So this is one of them. That is one of them. Okay. Again, I can, yes. So let us try to see the estimation after putting these letters P, Q, R, S. You can see we have managed to form some straight lines. These are straight lines, straight lines, straight line. They are straight line. So essentially, we are going to estimate by joining. See now, there. Sometimes I'm shaking. Yeah. There. Now you can see that is the surveying technique. We had irregular boundary that has been converted into straight lines. The blue is the original, and then the red is the conversion. So all these figures, it may do it clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is 6. They are now regular shapes. Number 1, a triangle. Number 2, trapezium. Triangle, triangle, trapezium, triangle. Whose area we can get. But let me add baseline. Since it is a line from one side to the other, it has a length. So let us say our baseline is 300. meters. So from X to Y is 300 meters. From X up to Y is 300 meters. How did we get that? You're on the ground, you measure. Use measuring tape. Sure. 300 meters. Okay. So from X to Y, 300 meters. Now you have to get these segments. How far are they? Okay. Now, let me have, I will just do an exaggeration here to make my line a bit there, so that my line is somewhere here. Okay, so what distance is it from X to this point? So let us say it is 50. Then I'll write here 50. Okay, that is 50. Now from here up to this point, second point here, let us say it is 30. I write there 30. Then from this point to another point here, let me write, maybe I could say this is 80. Then I put here 50. Okay. Then from this point to this point, let us say it is 20. Okay. And then from here to here, it must add up to this. Okay. So normally you measure and then you give this. So for me to give you the right figure, I know is, maybe I say 60. So we are measuring these small pieces, okay? The small pieces. So from here to here, 80. This section here, 30. This part here, 50. This small here, 20. And this is 60. So that is what constitutes the baseline. That is what gives you the length XY. So let us check in my context. This is 80, 110, and this 160. 160 plus 20, 180, 180, and that 240. So my baseline would essentially be 240 meters. Okay? That. This is one version. Another version, they would give you this. Let us draw this is X and this is Y. The first point is at 80. The next point here, it is at 80 plus 30, which will be 110. The next point here is 110 plus 50, it gives you 160. The next point here is 180. 80 plus 30, 110. 110 plus 50, 160. 180. 180 plus 60, 240. See, that is another version. And this is the version that is tested. What do I want you to know is to relate this and that. We are in the field where we are able to get real measurements. But what is all this about? After getting real measurements, we can sit now and draw it using a scale to fit in our books or in the map. That is the basic. So we had a piece of land. Number one, you must move from one point to another which is opposite in a straight line. When you join such points, X and Y, it gives you what we call baseline. After that, we have to get offsets. The offsets are perpendicular lines drawn from baseline to a point on the boundary, and such points are chosen intelligently so that we don't lose so much land, neither we gain much land, to get us to a regular shape where we shall use now the formula. So it must be done with a lot of intelligence. So our first offset, if it is here, we measured from X to the first offset 80. Then we went to the right. You can choose. You can, at 80, you can go right and left. It doesn't matter. So we went to the right. We got this point, S. From 80, we are on the ground. We measured 30, and we decided to put another offset on the left. So this 80 here plus this length 30 is 110. So when I give you on baseline, I give you cumulative figures. I give you cumulative figures. The first one add to the second. That is the second point. Okay? So 80, I added this 30. The second offset to P is at 110 from X. 110 from X. Then we measured 50 to go to the third offset. Okay? Third offset. So we have first offset. Offset 1. This is offset 2. This is offset 3. Okay? This is offset 4. So we are on offset 3. I add up to this point 110, I'm adding 50, I get 160. With respect to X, that is always my measurements, I'm doing them as if I'm starting from X. Then after getting 160, I go to the fourth offset. 160 plus 20, you get that. Okay? That is very good. So if I was, all this is recorded in a special book called field book, because you went to the field book. So in the field book, always you will get not a line. They will tabulate. They will give information in a table. They will tabulate their dimensions or measurements. So what you need to know is that when you are given such the baseline, you can put and then get the real length. Like here now, I can do this. This is 80. Then I can cancel this, I put here 30. I cancel this, I put here 50. I cancel that, I put here 20. The difference. And then the difference between 240 and that is 60. See, the difference. 80 minus 0, 80. 110 minus that. 160 minus 110, 50, and so on. So that when I tell you how far were they, e.g., if this one is at 70 meters, this one is at 100 meters, this is at 50, and this one is at 60, then you will be able to get the areas. Okay, so we shall continue. I want you to know surveying is basically studying land adjudication. Land adjudication is getting area of parcels of land, pieces of land. The pieces of land are irregular in shape, but we use the formula for regular shapes to get the area of those pieces. Then the question comes, how? One, you must have a baseline on that parcel of land. After getting the parcel, e.g. x, y, you now measure from x along that baseline offsets. Offsets are perpendicular lines from the baseline to a point you have chosen on the boundary. A point is intelligently chosen such that there is no wastage when we estimate it to a regular shape. So you have to get this part only. Get this part only and then do two things. See if you can draw a baseline. See if you can draw offsets. Next lesson, we shall do now the records on the ground which are entered or tabulated in field book and how we can draw an approximated area. Approximated area is an area consisting of regular shapes so that we get the real area. Remember to prescribe so that you get the next lesson. Bye-bye.